Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamati Nashtapraheshu Abhadreshu Tim Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhagavati Nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10. Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. Text number 18 onwards. So Shukdev Goswami is further explaining the development of different organs in the universal body, but at the same time it means the development of those organs in the embryo, in the womb, the mother. But there is a very distinct connection between what we explained earlier about Adidev, Adibhut, and Adhyatma. So Adi Atma means the soul, Adidev means the controlling deity, and Adibhut means the material body. So that time we were thinking, what is this so much technical knowledge all about? But it gets clear from this verse, especially from the purport that Prabhupada has mentioned. Text 18. Muktastalu nirbhinnam jiva tatropajayate tato nana raso jagge jivaya yodigamyate. From the mouth the palate became manifested, and thereupon the tongue was also generated. After this, all the different tastes came into existence, so that the tongue can relish them. So in the previous verse, it is said, the living force being agitated by the Virat Purusha generated hunger and thirst, and when he desired to drink and eat, the mouth opened. So the desire to drink and eat was there, and that's when the mouth opened, or the mouth, or the different organ like the tongue and the palate, they manifested. And at the same time, different tastes came into existence, because if the tongue is there and the palate is there, but there is no taste, then what's the use? So Prabhupada is explaining this gradual process of evolution suggests the explanation of the controlling deities, Adideva, because Varuna is a controlling deity for all relishable juices. Therefore, the mouth becomes a resting place for the tongue, which tastes all the different juices, of which the controlling deity is Varuna. This suggests, therefore, that Varuna was also generated along with the development of the tongue. So Varuna, who's a controlling deity of all the tastes, all the juices which produce the taste, is he also becomes manifest or generated along with the development of the tongue. Because if the tongue which we can understand, this is Adibhuta. So Adibhuta is there, and Adideva is not there, then what's the use of Adibhuta? That's why previously it was mentioned that all these elements, they are interdependent. They all depend upon each other. Only Krishna is completely independent. For him to taste anything, he doesn't need Varuna. He doesn't need a tongue. That's the difference between Krishna and us. We need tongue, and we need presence of Varuna also. Because without Varuna, the juices will not be there, then what are we going to taste? The tongue and the palate, being instrumental, are Adhibhutam, or forms of matter. But the functioning deity, who is a living entity, is Adhideva. Whereas the person undergoing the function is Adhyatma. Thus, the three categories are also explained as to their birth after the opening of the mouth of Virat Purusha. The four principles mentioned in this verse serve to explain the three main principles, namely the Adhyatma, Adidev, and Adibhutam, as explained before. Text 19. विवक्षोर्मुक्तो भुम्नो वह्निर्वाग्व्याहृतं तयो जले चैतस्य सुचिरं निरोधा samjayata. When the Supreme desired to speak, speeches were vibrated from the mouth. Then the controlling deity, fire, was generated from the mouth. But when he was lying in the water, all these functions remained suspended. The peculiarity of the gradual development of the different senses is simultaneously supported by their controlling deities. It is to be understood, therefore, that the activities of the sense organs are controlled by the will of the Supreme. So, activities of the sense organs are controlled by the will of the Supreme because He is producing, or from Him comes all the controlling deities, and controlling deities are under His control. The senses are, so to speak, offering a license for the conditioned souls who are to use them properly under the control of the controlling deity deputed by the Supreme Lord. So senses are supposed to be used properly under the control of the controlling deity. One who violates such controlling regulations has to be punished by degradation to a lower status of life. Consider, for example, the tongue and its controlling deity, Varuna. The tongue is meant for eating, and men, animals, and birds each have their different tastes because of different licenses. The taste of human beings and that of the swine are not on the same level. The controlling deity, however, awards or certifies a particular type of body when the particular living entity develops a taste in terms of different modes of nature. If the human being develops taste without discrimination, as does the swine, then the controlling deity is certainly certified for the next term to award him the body of a swine. The swine accepts any kind of foodstuff, including stools, and a human being who has developed such indiscriminate taste must be prepared for a degraded life in the next life. Such a life is also God's grace because the conditioned soul desired a body like that for perfectly tasting a particular type of foodstuff. If a man gets the body of a swine, it must be considered the grace of the Lord because the Lord awards the facility. After death, the next body is offered by superior control, not blindly. A human being, therefore, must be on his guard as to what sort of body he is going to have in the next life. An irresponsible life of indiscrimination is risky, and that is a declaration of all scriptures. Very nice, Bhagavad. So after the taste or the tongue or the palate, those items are generated. Now is the time for now the shloka talks about the speaking capability. So then the controlling deity, fire was generated from the mouth because fire controls the speaking capability. So Prabhupada, now he's talking about that all the senses are controlled by the deities and which are controlled, which are representative of or which are kind of different department managers appointed by the Supreme Lord. So we have to use the senses very properly in the service of the Lord because this is what the senses are given to us for. And not to use them indiscriminately. Prabhupada talks about the eating part of the tongue, use of the tongue for eating. The tongue is given by the Lord. The controlling deity is a representative of the Lord. So nothing in this body is actually ours. So we have to use it. We have to utilize it properly. Prabhupada gives the example of a swine or a pig. Pig likes to eat anything or everything. And especially he likes to eat stool. But when we develop in this body a desire to eat indiscriminately, anything and everything and whenever we get it, that means we are developing a consciousness of pig. We might not know that this is the consciousness of the pig, but the higher authorities, they know. So many times it is said that our next life is created in this body itself. Yes, because that consciousness we are developing is in this particular body for the next life. So when we develop this consciousness of eating anything and everything, no matter what, where we get a chance, then we get the body of a swan. Okay, now you eat whatever you want. Because in our human body, the tongue can only taste certain foodstuffs. But in the body of a swine, he will enjoy, not just taste, he will really relish stew, eating stew. He really relishes it. So much so that he doesn't even want to get out of that filthy place. Because his tongue and other senses are geared, are designed like that. Similarly, if somebody develops a great desire to eat non-veg, meat, so now our human body has some limitations. First, it cannot digest raw meat. The tongue cannot really taste raw meat, whatever the tiger can taste in raw meat. So we have to cook it and to digest it also properly, because our intestines are very long. Our intestines are not meant to process this non-veg items. So we have to cook it. We have to cook this non-veg items and cook it nicely, and then on top of it, we are from India, so we like to have everything spicy. We have to put so much of spices on it to create some artificial flavor. And then we eat it. And then the body is very difficult, it is, but body still processes. But the consciousness that we have developed by eating non-vegetarian food is that is what is detrimental, because our next body is getting prepared while we are still living in this body. So next body, if we have this consciousness of eating non-veg very much, and so the next body of a tiger is awaiting us. Now somebody might say, oh, having the body of a tiger is not bad. He's the king of the jungle and this and that. But when a tiger is caught by human beings and is kept in a zoo, he doesn't have a very good life. Even in the jungle, he doesn't have a good life. It's not that every day and every evening tiger would get his meal. It is said that it's probably once a month or something like that he goes out for hunting. And then he hunts an animal and keeps that flesh near his cave for as long as the flesh doesn't decompose. And he keeps on eating, chewing on that old, rotten flesh till it is completely putrefied, and he throws it away. So is that a good life? Not at all. And forget about anything else. No more realization, no self-realization, no way. So that those kind of bodies we are developing while we are still living in this body by having different desires to enjoy our senses differently. not understanding that these senses are meant to be utilized properly in the service of the Lord. So the mouth and palate was generated, and the tongue for vibration was generated, words were generated, fire God is generated. Now the next verse. नासिके निरभिदेतां दोधूयति नभस्वति तत्र वायुर्गन्धमहो घ्राणो नसि जिघ्रक्षक्तः. Thereafter, when the Supreme Purusha desired to smell odors, the nostrils and the respiration were generated. The nasal instrument and odors came into existence, and the controlling deity of air carrying smell also became manifested. So the nasal organs, the nostrils and the respiration generated. The instruments and odors, the nasal instrument and odors. Odors means smell came into existence, and the controlling deity of air, Vayudeva, that also became manifested. The nasal instruments, odor, and the controlling deity, air, smelling, etc., all became manifested simultaneously when the Lord desired to smell. The Vedic mantras confirm this statement in the Upanishad statement that everything is first desired by the Supreme before the subordinate living entity can act upon it. So everything is there in the spiritual world, everything is there in the Supreme Lord, and we just get it in very infinitesimal proportion and in a very limited way also. The living entity can see only when the Lord sees. The living entity can smell when the Lord smells, and so on. The idea is that the living entity cannot do anything independently. If we think we can smell independently of the Lord, that is foolishness. If the Lord does not provide the controlling deity of air, and he withholds or stops the flowing of air, if the Lord does not give the sense of smell or this organ for smelling, nose, then how can we smell anything? So everything is controlled by the Lord. Living entity cannot do anything independently. He can simply think of doing something independently, but he cannot act independently. This independence in thinking is there by the grace of the Lord, but the thinking can be given shape. But the thinking can be given shape by the grace of the Lord. And therefore the common saying is that man proposes and God disposes. The whole explanation is on the subject of the absolute dependence of the living entities and the absolute independence of the Supreme Lord. So again, the Supreme Lord is not dependent on the organ of nose or the tongue to smell or to taste. Brahma Samhita says, Angani yasya saklendriya vrittimanti. Means any organ of his body can perform any function of any other organ of the body. That is the Supreme Lord. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. But not in our case. Less intelligent persons claiming to be on an equal level with God must first prove themselves to be absolute and independent, and then they must substantiate their claim to being one with God. So nobody can be equal to God. Nobody can be one with God. Text 21. Yadatmani niralokam atmanam chadidirikshataha nirbhinne hi akshini tasya jyotish chakshur gunangriha. Thus, when everything existed in darkness, the Lord desired to see himself and all that was created. Then the eyes, the illuminating God's Son, the power of vision and the object of sight, all became manifested. The universe is by nature dense darkness, and therefore the total creation is called tamas, or darkness, or ignorance. The night is a real feature of the universe, for then one cannot see anything, including oneself. The Lord, out of his causeless mercy, first desired to see himself and all the creation as well, and thus the sun became manifested. The power of vision for all living entities became possible, and the object of vision were also manifested. This means that the whole phenomenal world became visible after the creation of the sun. So when the Lord had the desire to see this material world, which is full of ignorance, darkness, sun became manifested, the organ eye became manifested, and the sense of vision that became manifested. So all three became, and they all three are interdependent. Text 22. Bodhyamanasya rishibhiratmanasya jigrikshataha karno cha nirabhidetam disha shrotram gunagriha. By development of the desire of the great sages to know the ears, the power of hearing, the controlling deity of hearing, and the objects of hearing became manifested. The great sages desired to hear about the self. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, by advancement of knowledge, one should try to know about the Supreme Lord, the summum bonum of everything. Knowledge does not mean knowledge only of the laws of nature or physical knowledge, which are working by the direction of the law. The scientists are eager to hear about the physical laws working in material nature. They are eager to hear through the medium of radio and television about things taking place far away from them on the other planets, but they should know that the process of hearing and the instruments of hearing were given to them by the Lord for hearing about the self or about the Lord. So the instrument of hearing, the process of hearing, the power of hearing, everything, the demigod for hearing, everything is provided by the Lord. And for what purpose? So that we can hear about the Lord and about ourselves and about the pastimes of the Lord. The great sages were interested in hearing about the Lord's Vedic knowledge and nothing more. That is the beginning of oral reception of knowledge. So that is when the hearing sense and the object, or the hearing deity which controls the hearing, and the hearing, the process of hearing is also generated. So going by this, one example is coming to my mind. Suppose, let's take the example of Archana Mataji. She is in the class right now. So Archana Mataji, maybe your daughter, you tell your daughter, you give her the car and tell your daughter to go to say Connaught Place and buy some. And your daughter takes a car and she takes her friends, okay, let's go to Connaught Place, but instead of going to Connaught Place, they say, oh, it's too hot in Delhi, let's go to some hill station, nice place, hope there is not much traffic there, and nice place, they enjoy the weekend and they come back at the end of the weekend. Now, Archana Mataji, you found out what these guys did, what your daughter did. So what would you do to her or with her? You can unmute yourself.
Prabhuji, definitely I'll be worried first of all, and then I'm going to ask them.
And
third one is that scolding, definitely.
Definitely, and definitely. And what?
And what? Then I can give them a warning that please, this should not be happening in future. No, please take care of this.
Suppose she does it again.
फिर पिटाई है बस. फिर no question asked only.
No, but one thing you will definitely do is you won't give her the car.
Yeah, definitely. Car also and the friend circle also. Then I'm going to slowly, we're going to, take out all those things which she is misusing.
Misusing, right? So that's simple answer. So if we see, the Lord has given us this body and the senses to do a particular thing, to use it in His service. If we come here and we misuse it, we use it for something else, and when we go back, when we die, what is He gonna do? First scolding, punishment, and then He will not give us a human body. He said, you misused it. So instead of car, you will give your daughter a bicycle. So we will also not get the human body, we'll get some other body.
Definitely.
So same thing Krishna does. Of course, He doesn't do Himself. He has Yamraji to take care of all this. So that's what He does. So human body that we have received, it's very rare and it's very important, very valuable. We have to use it properly. That's all. And like we say, na, Bhagwan ke ghar der hai, andher nahi hai. But actually, there is no there and there is no there. Like when we break the laws of God, suppose somebody is fond of eating non-veg. So that is breaking the principle, breaking the rules of God. But God, even if somebody is eating non-veg, He doesn't just stand there with a sword in His hand and as soon as you put the non-veg in your mouth, He's going to kill you. No. He gives us a chance again and again and again. Okay, you made a mistake, you rectify yourself. I'll still forgive you. He clearly says in Bhagavad Gita, this Bhagavad Gita is very important scripture. Sarva dharman parityaja maam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo. Sarva papebhyo, not just 1, 2, 3 sins, not just sins of 1, 2, or 3 lifetimes. Sarva papebhyo, every sin, I'll deliver you from that. Just surrender unto me. That's a bold statement. And only Krishna can do that. So it's not there or there. It's not like He's delaying the justice, and it's not like He doesn't know what is happening. He's still being merciful upon us. He's so merciful. He gives us a chance over and over and over and over again to rectify ourselves. That's all. That's why many times people say, how is it possible? Is Krishna blind? Is your God blind? He doesn't see these people committed so many sinful activities, and just by chanting once, He says, okay, forget about everything. All your sins are taken care of. No, He's not blind. It's just He's merciful. He's very, very merciful. Just like any of our parents would be also. But we just have to do it properly, that's all. Those who know it, they have to really surrender and try to use all our senses in His service. That's all. Hare Krishna. So I'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. A very nice class, Prabhuji. Very nice class. Thank you so much. Really, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Very nice class, Prabhuji, and very nice background also.
Thank you, Prabhu. I hope Archana Mataji's daughter doesn't listen to the exam. So I guess we can stop here. You all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.